Hello everyone, I am Shivpudra Pancha, Assistant Professor, Department of Computer Science and Engineering, BID Engineering College, Vijaypur. Today I am going to discuss the Module 5 contents, and in that using web services. So in my today's session I am going to discuss about how to retrieve data from data across the networks. So here there are two different elements that we can use for retrieving the data across networks. One is XML and another one is JSON. So in today's session we will be discussing the basics about XML and the basics about JSON and the differences between XML and JSON. So let us go one by one. See, as I said, to retrieve the data, so the simple point here is data on the web. With the HTTP request or response well understood, already have understood and well supported, there was a natural move toward exchanging data between programs using these protocols. So we needed to come up with an agreed way to represent data going between applications and across networks. So there are two commonly used formats that I said already, XML and JSON. So here have a look at the slide first here. So there will be different programming elements here. One is PHP array, Python dictionary, JavaScript object, Java hash map. So what we need to do is we have some sort of data that need to be transferred across the network using any type of programming here. So but it should be transferred across some wire. So it can be mapped with the Python dictionary to JavaScript object, or else it may be mapped with Python dictionary to Java hash map, or else it may be PHP array to Java hash map. So here there is one data here, say for example, which contains name, phone number. So here with this sort of data we need to extract the elements. Maybe if we want only name of a particular person, so then we can extract name. If you want phone number or email, any particular element of a data, then we can extract it. So that's what already I said, we will be using two different elements. One is XML and another one is JSON for extracting the data. So this is how across the network we can access the data. So now you can see here, so that's what I said, agreeing on a wire format. Some sort of data should be agreed on a wire format, and that can be sent to any of the programming concepts. As I said earlier, maybe PHP array, maybe JavaScript notation, or else it may be Java hash, then Python dictionary may be mapped to Java hash or whatever. So now here the main important point here is, so we'll be discussing XML as well as JSON in the form of Python dictionary. And so initially it will be in a serialized form. So that data will be in a serialized form, and that data we need to deserialize it either using XML or else using JSON. So to Java hash map. So what is exactly Java hash map? Java hash map is nothing but what? So it will map the elements of a particular data one by one from Python dictionary to Java hash map. So initially we will serialize our data, then we will deserialize into elements. So initially we will be using XML. Very similar way we will also be using JSON. Now you can see here, so the same data using Python dictionary, so we will be using in the form of serialized, then we will deserialize it using JSON into Java hash map. So let us discuss some basics about XML. So what is XML? XML is marking up data to send across the network. I mean that's what I said already. So extracting some elements of a data across the network. XML elements, we can also call these elements as nodes. So it consists of tags. So here in this you can see here So how XML elements are written, so which is in the form of nodes here. So initially elements are started with angle bracket tags, and it should end with some angle bracket tags with some slash. So here in this you can see here something written in different colors. People, under people we have different persons, and for each person so we'll be writing the data as name, phone number, email, etc. So, and similarly for the second person also we'll be writing the data. For the third person, like this we can write n number of data for the people element. So this is one just example. So now what is exactly extensible markup language? So primary purpose is to help information systems share structured data. It started as a so in the earlier days we'll be using the same XML in the form of what standard generalized markup language, and is designed to be relatively human legible. So XML basics, as I said, how these tags will be. So it consists of star tags. It consists of star tags, end tag. Then it also contains the root data, that is in the form of text, content, attribute, self-posing tag. So here you can see this star tag. Then inside that tag we will be writing the data, so as well as text content. And how the attribute is written? Attribute is written in the form of key and value pair. For example, here you can see this phone number. The type of that phone number is mentioned. So with the key and value pair, key here is type and value here is Intel. So just like in dictionary, in XML we will be writing like this: type equal to Intel. So phone number is mentioned here as integer. And similarly email. So whether we are hiding email or not, yes or no. And here key here is hide, and we will be hiding the email as equal to S. Hide equal to S. This is what how we can mention the attributes for our XML elements. So this is what the different elements of a XML. So XML terminology. So in this the very special kind is tags indicates the beginning and ending of elements. Attributes, so that's what I said already, keyword and value pairs, or else key and value pairs on the opening tag of XML. So that's one more point, very important point. Serialize and deserialize means convert data in one program into a common format that can be stored and or transmitted between systems in a programming language independent manner. So now you can see here, you can write XML in the form of tree. It looks like tree. So you have to write it in the form of tree only. So now have a look at this particular slide here. So in this, how XML elements are written in the form of tree. So here there is A is a root node. Under that root node, B and C are children, and directly under B it contains the data as, or else text as X. So under C it once again contains the sub child nodes called as D and E. So D contains the text Y and E contains the text Z. So here you can see this, how these tags are written. So A and so under the tag A, B is written as well as C is written. Under the tag C, D and E are written with one tab space. So the structure, it looks like tree here. So now you can also write these in the form of regular expressions. So here how you reach to X, you can write like this: A slash B slash X. So how you can reach to Y, you can write A slash C slash D slash Y. So you can also mention the paths, so according to a tree. So as I said, XML not only contains text but also it contains attributes. So along with text, it also contains attributes here. Under B, what we have one attribute called as w equal to 5 along with the text x. So here you can see this. This is one more example. Along with text, any element can contain attributes also. So whatever the XML tags we will be writing, so that is by using XSD structure. So what is XSD structure? XSD means XML schema definition structure. So you will be writing XML elements that is in the form of some sequential form. So it contains elements, it contains sequence, and it contains complex type. So your access element is at the middle, is at the root level, and so you will be writing the elements under the sequence, and you will be writing the sequence under the complex type. So there is one example here. So you can see this access complex type name equal to person, and we will be writing the sequences for the person. Then under the sequence tab, and under the sequence tag, we will be writing elements. Access element name equal to name, age, then date born. So we will be writing different types of data under the sequence, and we will be closing that sequence, and we will be closing that complex type. This is what XSD structure, schema, XML schema definition. So XSD constraints. So for some type of data, so we will be having some constraints. So depending on that constraints only, we have to we have to write the data. So now there is one example here. Just have a look at this. Access element name equal to person, access complex type, and under the sequence we will be writing one element name. So access element name equal to full name, so type equal to, and its type is string, and for how many times it has to occur. Minimum occurs equal to 1, and max occurs equal to 1. So there is only one and only one name should be there in that. So you are not supposed to give less than 1 also and more than 1 also. And and one more element is there in this sequence. Element name equal to child name, type equal to string, minimum occurs equal to 0, max occurs equal to 10. So you can write under the full name, you can write 0 to 10 children. So that's what the constraints. So depending on that constraints, you are supposed to write. And here there is an example. You can see here, person full name is something written as some name to reference, and child name. So something they have written different names, and 4 different child names are written. So which is less than or equal to 10, and only one full name is written. So this is according to the XML schema definition. So along with constraints, that XML will also contain data types. So how we have to mention the data types? There is an example. Access element name customer, then we'll be writing type equal to access string. Along with that, we'll be writing different types of elements, and we can mention the data types for each element that what we are writing. So element name start, type equal to date, start date, access date time. So there will be different data types. Price, which will be in decimal, weeks, which will be in integer. So like that we can mention the data types, and according to that we are supposed to enter the data in the XML tags. See here, customer name start, then we have to mention according to its format, that is date, start date. So in that start date it contains what? Date time in the sense, along with that we'll also be writing time. Then third one is price, something else which is written in the form of floating. So that's what the type of that price is written as decimal here, 9.50. Then weeks, which is integer, something else 30 is written. So this is how we can make use of that date time format, ISO, according to ISO 8601 date time format. So year, month and day. and there will be one tag called as T and time. Then after that Z, which represents time zone, typically specified in UTC or GMT rather than local time zone. So this is how the XML structure looks like. You can see here, so which is exactly written in the form of tree here. So initially schema first initially that versions are defined along with its format encoding UTF-8. Then schema is defined, and inside that there will be sequences as well as elements. So all are different. This is one example. Initially, structure XML schema definition is defined, and with respect to that, so data is entered. So here on the right side, you can see here. So this is, you can go through this particular slide later. And this is another example. So now what I will do is one important point. So I will directly take you through the Python compiler. So and there I will execute one XML file wherein, so how to extract the data from the network, how to extract the data from XML content to your Python command prompt. So now I'll just stop here. This is that example, that what I said, XML1.py. So before going to that, I will explain this program here, then I will go and execute it. Now you can see here in this, so to extract the data from XML, so we need to import one module called as xml.etree.elementtree as et. So now here you can see this. Assume that XML, etree are nothing but packages, and elementtree is nothing but class, just like in Java. And will be under that class will be defining directly one object called as et. It looks very much similar to, so everything, that is, we are defining an object with respect to the package xml.etree.elementtree as et. So now here with respect to that, so how we extract the data from the XML. So now initially we have to mention the data in the form of XML. Here you can see this data equal to in triplet format. So here that data is written in triplet form. So triple quotes you can just see here. So data equal to something like the same example we have written here, person, and we'll be writing the elements, say name and phone number, and we'll be closing that phone number as well as email. So email here we are mentioning as hide equal to s, then we'll be closing that person tag. So from this, now what we have to do is, so if we want only name of a person, we can extract it. If we want only a phone number of a person, we can extract it. If we want any element of a XML data, we can extract it in generally. So that is what Python, so we are mentioning this in the form of Python dictionary in serialized form. We can deserialize it to any of the elements, that is using Java hash map. That's what is that hash map, in the sense we'll be extracting the element one by one. So how we do this? You can see here tree equal to et dot from string of data. So here what is from string? From string is a method defined in the class called as et. So now here you can see this et is, sorry, in the class called as elementtree. So et is the object, et dot from string of data. So now we will be extracting the data, right, data from the XML with this particular statement, tree equal to et dot from string of data. So then we'll be printing its elements. So how we do that? Print name as it is, then in that tree dot we have to find out that particular element, tree dot find of name dot text in the form of text. Similarly attribute comma tree dot find of email dot get of hide. There will be two different methods used for extracting the attribute here. So tree dot find of email will search that particular email element, dot get of hide will search that particular attribute. And one more example is here. First I will discuss this example also, then I will go for that execution. So now here little bit variation in the sense, same, we'll be importing the XML here, xml.e3.elementary as et, then we'll be writing data in the form of input here, input equal to something is written as stuff. So inside the stuff there will be different users here, users tag. Under users tag we'll be writing many users, and that will be written in the form of user, user 1, user 2, user 3, and under user we have the data x equal to 2, id. Under user we have an attribute called as x equal to 2, so we have data under user, id and name. Similarly for user 2, x equal to 7, we have a data called as id and name for the second user. So here under users tag, two different users information is written, and we have to extract those users information one by one. So how we do that? So you can see this very very similar manner. Stuff equal to et dot from string of input, lst equal to stuff dot find all of users slash user. Now here in this what it searches is, it searches all the users. lst equal to stuff dot find all of users slash users. So now here you can see this, it searches all the users content, and even if you want, you can print the length of that all the users. Print user count length of lst. So it will show you the length of that lst, how many users are there from item in lst. It will go one by one, it will go to the users one by one. Say it. So this for loop will go for the first user its contents, for the second user its contents, and so on. For item in lst, print the first user's name, item dot find of name dot text, the first user's id, item dot find of id dot text, along with the first user's attribute comma item dot get of x. So for each user it will retrieve its elements like name, id and attribute. So before going to discuss about JavaScript object notation, I will execute these two programs and I'll show you how it will extract the data. And there is a CubePython, so I'll be using this CubePython in my mobile itself. And one more important point here is, so for that the book written by the author, so all the simple examples, all the examples are written in this particular code 3. You can download it directly by going through website P4Y. So in that website you can download this. So now I'll just go to this code 3. It contains several examples so that you can also download it. So now here you can see this. Now I'll directly go to that xml1.py. Here it is. So now have a look at this. So how it is written, that's what I said, xml.e3.elementary as et. So now data is written in triplet code. Then we'll be extracting data in the form of a tree equal to et.from string, the same example. So now I'll execute and show you, right? It will extract name and attribute. Simply I'll click on this play button so that it will be running. Now you can see that name is extracted as check, attribute as s. It's very simple. Similarly we have one more example here. That is xml2.y, and here it contains what here? Different users. So that I already explained. So you can see this. So now it will extract all users information one by one, say name, ID and attribute. So the first total number of users is count equal to 2. So that's why I said length of LST. So then after that it displays the contents of first user, say name, ID, attribute. Contents of second user, say once again name, ID and attribute. So this is how you can extract the data across the networks. Then the same thing that I think this is a static example. So now what actually we have to do is, for this, so you can consider any of the websites, say for example Google Map or else Twitter. There are different examples from that Google Map. So you can just consider the data in the form of XML. You can extract the data contained in that particular web page, any of the web pages. So that is already, I think you have studied how to retrieve the contents of web page using URL request, URL parser and URL parser. So that already have studied. So I will show you that example also. So now we will study something about JavaScript object notation. So now you can see here. So what is actually the JavaScript object notation? So already I have told you the purpose of JSON. You can call this as a JSON. So this should also be used for extracting the data. So JavaScript object notation is something else discovered by Douglas Crockford. So object literal notation in JavaScript. Now compared to XML, the data what you are writing by using JSON is very simple. So there you need to use, in XML you need to use its own tags, I think in the form of XML element, XML sequence, XML complex type, all those. But here in JSON, so they have made it quite simple compared to XML. You can write the data of a JSON in the form of combination of Python lists and dictionaries. You can use the combination of lists and dictionaries. So here there is one example how the JSON encoding, that is roughly equivalent to the simple XML form. So now how it is written as a combination of list and dictionaries, you can see here. So now you can see this something else which is written in the form of opening and closing brace, as we can write that as a dictionary. Under that dictionary we have a key and value pairs, name, check. Then under that name we have one more dictionary called as phone, and in that phone we have key value pair as type as integer, number as and one more so one more element in that as number. So we will be closing that, and under that we have second type as email, so which is referred as hide equal to s, and we will be closing the first one, that is email. Then we will be closing the that is outer loop. So here how we write the dictionary, that is inner dictionaries, one by one. So that's what I said. You can use the JSON data either in the form of only dictionary or else a combination of dictionary and list. So now the differences between XML and JSON. First, in XML we can add attributes like intel to the phone tag. In JSON we simply have key value pairs. In general, JSON structures are simpler than XML because JSON has fewer capabilities than XML. But JSON has the advantage that it maps directly to some combination of dictionaries and lists. So now for this JSON, so I'll be explaining the execution, right? How we execute the programs in JSON. So we'll be going to the same. I think there is two different programs which are written for JSON 1 and JSON 2. So now you can see this, how the data is written in the form of dictionary here. So under the main dictionary we have name, then under phone number we have type and number, then under email we one more content we have email is a key, and value is under that one more key value pair. So you have a look at that hierarchical structure of dictionary, how it is written. You can write in any manner, right? So your dictionary structure may be in very complex hierarchical structure. So now you can see this, what we need to do, very simple. So there in XML we will be importing some XML dot e3 dot elementary as et as object. We will be using et as object, but here so we will be simply importing JSON. So and after that we will be mentioning once again the data in the form of actually here we will be using dictionary, but that data we should mention it in the form of triplet code. You can see a triple code is used for mentioning that data. Next step is we have to load that data. There is one function directly with a JSON file, info equal to JSON dot loads of data, and that entire data will be loaded to the variable called info. Now, so what we have to do is we have to extract. So once we loaded that data in the form of info, so you can extract any value with respect to the key. Say for example, you can extract here check with respect to the key name. You can extract Intel with respect to the key type. You can extract this particular 734303444 some number with respect to the key number. So you can extract any value with respect to the key. Now here there are example, print name, info of name. So you have to use info of name. It will extract the value contained in the field name. It will extract the, so now second one, hide, info of email of hide. So it will extract the value contained in email, along with it will extract the value contained in hide. So both the strings. Here in this email we have a hierarchical key value pairs. You can see here. So email is a key, right? Then inside that value of email is hide, but that will be acting as a once again one more key value for the value s. So now we'll display this, we'll execute this. You can see this, name is check and hide is, so it will extract the particular email, and with respect to that it will identify the attribute as s. This is first program, and one more program we have with respect to JSON. Now here in this, I think the second XML program we have written, so very much similar here. We'll be writing two different users, but here you can see this. So this will be used as a combination of list and dictionary. So you can see here there is a square brackets. So if you write some sort of elements within square bracket, then that will be treated as list. So under that list we have two different elements. You can see that, and each element will be acting as a dictionary. So now in first dictionary we have the user 1 content. So we are not mentioning that user 1 and user 2 here, but in the first dictionary we have user 1 content as as id, x and name, and for the similar for the second dictionary we have once again id, x and name and its respective values. So now how to retrieve this entire user information. Now you can see here info equal to JSON dot loads of data. So once again we can load that data using the loads function. Print user count. So we will be writing length of info will give you how many dictionaries are written in single list. So I mean how many elements are there in a list. So totally there are 2 elements. So now we have to trace each and every element one by one for item in info. So it will trace the first dictionary element of list, and it prints name, id and attributes as item of name, item of ID, item of X. You can see here. So total users are 2 and the respective information about each user is displayed. Name, ID, attribute for the first user, name, ID, attribute for the second user. So this is what the Java object notation. So now with these two, either XML or JSON, you can extract the data across networks, across different web pages. Maybe it's client or server, whatever. So with this, what you can do is, so with JSON, with either XML, you can extract the data contained in the web page. So this is what I showed you, a simple examples. So JSON, so I have explained you with simple examples written in a dictionary and as well as written in a combination of list and dictionary. So that is, we have written our own data and we have extracted the elements. But what we have to do, very important point here is, we have to extract the data in the form of JSON by some of the web pages, some of the social media, whatever you can consider, and from that JSON data you can extract the elements. So now here you can see this. After this, we will be discussing something about service-oriented approach. So what is exactly? It all depends on the same elements what I discussed about XML and JSON. So what is SOA, service-oriented approach? There is one example here. So okay, before that I'll just play the sides here. Okay, service-oriented approach. So have a look at this application here. Wait, this application here. So there is one application called as travel application. So it depends on different services. So different services in the sense, it depends on auto rental service, hotel reservation service, airline reservation service, and each service consists of API. API means what? Service in the form of API only. Application Programming Interface. So this travel application has to consider, right? Travel application has to take the help from different services. So with auto rental, hotel reservation, airline reservation service. So now here in this, so that's what I said, using API, so that is written in the form of JSON or XML, we can extract the elements from auto rental service, we can extract the elements from hotel reservation service, we can extract the elements from airline reservation service for our application called as travel application. This is how we can make it. The general name of for these application to application contracts is Application Programming Interface or APIs. With an API, one program makes a set of services available for use by other applications and publishes the APIs that must be followed, access the services provided by the program. The functionality of program, which includes access to services provided by other programs. So this approach is called as service-oriented architecture or SOA. So as I said, for our travel application, we can call this as a service-oriented architecture. It takes support from different services. So for any, this is with respect to a single application which consists of different APIs. So that is nothing but different services. One example here is, most non-trivial web applications use services. They use services from other applications, maybe from credit card, hotel reservation systems, like that. Services publish the rules. Applications must follow to make use of the service, that is API here. And now very important point here is, depending on the situation, we need to extract the data with authentication. So that data can be extracted with the help of API only. So here some of the web services that I will go through these very brief. So API, so that's what I said, something else about authentication. API security and rate limiting. So now, before extracting the data in the form of API, right, we are supposed to authenticate that particular account. So to compute resources to run these APIs are not free. The data provided by these APIs is usually valuable. The data providers might limit the number of requests per day, demand an API key, or even charge for usage. That I said, something else about your Twitter account, you can also go for extracting data in Google Map. How many requests will be there for? How many requests will be sending from the users per day? They might change the rules as things progress. You can see here there is one example. The Google geocoding API has the following limits in place. So it will take only 2,500 requests per day. So now it will send you the location content as longitude and location content values. So we'll be extracting those values once again by using what? JSON. So this is before, and one more example here is Twitter. So before extract, and you can see here there is API here, right? So in this the API version 1, API version 1.1, and it gives us the data in the form of JSON, but we need authentication for a particular account. Then only we can access this website data. So these are all few of the examples about that Twitter. So now there is one example here. You can see this I will explain how we how you can access the data of a particular web page. And here the very particular example is Twitter. So you can see this. There is one. So we have to import one module called as URL lib dot request, comma URL lib dot parse, comma URL lib dot error. Import. So along with that, we have to import two more modules, TWURL JSON. So TWURL will give you the Twitter content of Twitter URL, and along with that, so we will be extracting the data using JSON. You are supposed to import JSON. So now we have a Twitter URL. So something is mentioned here, but we need, as I said, we need authentication for this. So at last, in this URL, at last something is written as list.json that contains the data in the form of JSON, and that data we are supposed to use it, and we have to extract the elements contained in that list.json. So we'll be writing something else. We have to put it in a while loop, infinite loop, while true. So we'll print something. We'll print blank. Then we have to enter the Twitter account here. Account equal to input of enter a Twitter account. If length of account is less than 1, we'll simply come out from the loop. Then otherwise we have to mention the URL equal to twurl dot augment. Augment in the sense we have to authenticate using this. Augment is a method returning twurl. Then we have to mention that URL, screen name. So these are the format that how we extract the content of that URL. I mean Twitter URL, screen name, account, then how many times, that is count. So we have to print the content, retrieving URL, connection equal to URL lib dot request dot URL open up. We have to open it using what? URL lib dot request dot URL open is a method of URL. So now what we have to do is we have to, once we extract, we have to decode that. How we do that? Data equal to connection dot read dot decode. So once we decode that, we have to write in the form of headers. Headers equal to dict of, that is dictionary. We have to create one dictionary with what? Connection dot get headers. Only the headers will be extracted from that particular URL. Print remaining headers of, we have to print that headers of X rate limit remaining, that is this particular data content in the web page. So I can't tell you right now. X rate limit remaining is one of the element of that JSON. JS equal to JSON dot loads of data. We have to load that data. Then there is one more function called as JSON dot. So if and one more, I think we have discussed only one method called JSON dot loads, and along with that we have one more method called as JSON dot dumps. JSON dot dumps of JS comma indent equal to 4 means if you want to load the entire data, if you want to convert that entire data into your own format, you can just use the dumps function. So JSON dot dumps of JS comma indent equal to 4 for you in JS of users. Now we will be extracting the different users content in this format for you in JS of users. So print, so you can print that screen name, you can print that status text. So here these are the examples here. So but briefly I can tell you here, so how you can make use of URL, and from that URL how you can extract the data contained in the JSON file from any of the website. Here the particular example here is Twitter. So this is how we can see this. That is how you can make use of that Twitter here for your documentation. And wait, I'll tell you one more thing here. So now you can see this in this output here. So according to our previous program, what we have to do is we have to enter the Twitter account. Something else, dr check is written, and it is with the author with his own account, authenticated account. Then it retrieves the URL api.twitter.com/1.1 friends, like that. Remaining 14, it retrieves the different users under that. So in the form of, you can see here, this particular users in the form of a combination of dictionary here, dictionary and of course there is no a combination of dictionaries and list. So users are written in the form of list here, and under that we have different dictionary elements, status, location, right? And for the second user also once again status and location, and it displays the particular content here, right? At Jaji chat, some example is there. I just brought one, right? Have a look at this example, how the Twitter URL content is extracted and it is displayed in our console. So this is, before that we have to authenticate our Twitter account, and there is one more file called as hidden.py, and I will show you where exactly this this particular content, return consumer key, consumer secret. So this is taken from a particular Twitter account, and this should be written as some file name called as hidden.py. So I will tell you where exactly this hidden.py will be there. Now you can see this. So as I said, in the Twitter 2.api, that what I mentioned, there you are importing twurl.py. So this file should also be there in the current directory. And what exactly this file contains? Twitter URL, right? It contains. So you have to import URL lib. You have to import O authentication, which is there in the Twitter account. You have to import hidden. That's what I said, right? Hidden information contains what? Something else for the authentication. Now here in this we'll be writing that I think we have used one augment function, define augment with URL and parameters, and this particular TWURL is needed for the authentication purpose by importing O authentication and hidden. Summary, right? As we had discussed something about the different elements XML and JSON. Along with that, we have also discussed service oriented architecture allows an application to be broken into parts and distributed across network. An application programming interface is a contract for interaction. Web services provide infrastructure for applications cooperating an API over a network. So we can also go for that. SOAP and REST are two styles of web services. XML and JSON or serialization formats. If you have any queries, we can discuss it in the next session. Thank you one and all.